Hi, Avi. Welcome to the demo class. So, my name is Raghav. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you for joining BitSpace Education. That's the name of our company. We offer computer science programs and math programs for grades 4 to 12 and also for university students.
Mm-hmm.
There are two major teachers, Akila, who's actually one of the founders of this company, and then Raghav, which is me. Let me tell a little bit about myself. So, I have about 23 years of experience in software. My
Mm-hmm.
last job was with Amazon, where I was doing a lot of coding and then managing teams. Um, and then basically, I got in because of my problem solving skills, because that is very essential over there.
Yeah.
The focus at all these top tech companies, which Amazon is one of them, is
Mm-hmm.
to look at data structures and algorithms. So, which is a part of what I'm going to tell you today, this
Mm-hmm.
Canadian computing competition.
Mm.
How does that sound?
Yeah. Sounds great.
Awesome. So let me show you what is Canadian computing competition. So Canadian computing competition. So I'm on in the website by University of Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually run by the Center for Education in Mathematics and Computing. So they have contests in mathematics and in computer science. So
Mm-hmm.
if you go to the past contest, which is the page that we are in, and scroll down to the bottommost place, you can actually see the previous year's problems from this competition. So let me just show you a flavor of what these problems are. So if
Sure.
you go to like the latest this year,
Mm-hmm.
there are two tracks, junior and senior, right?
Yeah.
So if I click on the problems for this one, so it says, okay, there are five problems in this, J1, J2, J3, J4, J5.
Mm-hmm.
And the expectation for you is to look at the problem,
Mm-hmm.
understand the problem. There is an input specification, there's an output specification. And once you solve this, you're expected to submit the code.
Mm-hmm.
During the contest, there is a grader, which is an online website. So you can just submit your code there
Oh.
and you get graded automatically.
Okay.
After the contest, what you need to do is you can go to this place called dmoj.ca. So if you come to this website here, this is
Mm-hmm.
also an online judge, which
Mm-hmm.
takes all the problems from Canadian coding competition and then puts it in here. So
Mm-hmm.
for instance, if I just go to problems here and search for Deliv-e-droid, which is what I was showing you here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you click on the problem here, then it shows you the same problem. And here you can go and submit the solution. If you look at any top company today, right? If you talk about something like MAANG is what there's a short form. Basically, it's Meta,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, all these companies today. What do they want? They don't want people who can code in specific language. They want people who can do data structures and algorithm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what Canadian competition coding competition teaches you. CCC, right? Teaches you
Mm-hmm.
all of this. It helps you to look at these problems and then solve them and prepare you for becoming a really good problem solver, which gives you a lot of openings for yourself. One is like you can go and work for top companies.
Mm-hmm.
One. Second is you can become an entrepreneur yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So today, if you've heard of all this AI, artificial intelligence, chat GPT, right? So all that is actually the basis for all this is all of these data structures and algorithms,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it'll help you to create your own companies, create jobs and all of that, right? It
Mm-hmm.
also will help you in getting into top universities. Waterloo being one of them, right? Waterloo is the university that's actually conducting these competitions. So gives you an opening to get into Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just some of the benefits of doing all. Not only
Mm-hmm.
that, once you do this, you can easily understand new programming languages. That's yet another benefit for you, right?
Mm.
And also you can combine multiple skills. As you can see, like if you join BitSpace, we will actually show you how to solve problems in computational geometry thing. So you can also travel the world
Ah.
by joining these competitions. The next, like if you join this next thing called ACM, Association of Computing Machinery,
Mm-hmm.
which actually conducts these competitions. After Waterloo, you can get into this ACM, and there is a track called ICPC, Intercollegiate Programming Contest. So you can get into these as well, and these contests happen all over the world, so you can get to travel the world and meet new people.
I see.
So there's so many benefits to doing.
That sounds
Okay,
great. Mm.
awesome. So let's go to today's class. So what are we going to do today? Today we will try and solve three problems. Let's say J1, J2, and J3 in the J meaning junior, right? So CCC has got junior and senior. We'll tackle the junior three problems today,
Mm.
and we'll do that in Python. What we will not do is to set up the um, IDE or basically the coding environment. We will do that in a separate video so that you can watch that and learn. But for this one, I'm assuming that the IDE is already set up, right? So
Mm.
IDE meaning integrated development environment. Okay, so let's go to problem J1 now. Okay, so what is problem J1 here? So like I said earlier,
Mm.
each problem is divided into three parts: the problem description,
Mm-hmm.
input specification, and then the output specification.
Mm.
In this specific problem, if you see, this is called Deliv-e-droid. So what is this Deliv-e-droid? Basically, in a game,
Mm-hmm.
Deliv-e-droid, a robot, has to deliver packages while avoiding obstacles. So the robot has to go deliver the packages, and there are some obstacles that it needs to avoid, right? At
Mm.
the end of the game, there is a final score that's calculated based on some rules. What are the
Mm.
rules? Gain 50 points for every package delivered. So if
Mm.
you see the sample input here, there is the first line says it is the number of packages that are delivered. So that's the number of packages delivered. So you get
Mm.
50 points for say 5 packages delivered here. If you lose 10 points for every collision. And how do you know that? It will be in the input. It will be in the second line. Second line will have the number of collisions. So in the sample input, there will be 2 collisions and 5 packages that were delivered. Okay, so what's the third rule? It says you will earn 500 bonus points if the number of packages delivered is greater than the number of collisions, which means in the sample input here, 5 is greater than 2. So this delivered droid will get 500 bonus points.
Mm.
And our job is to determine the final score at the end of a game.
Mm.
Does it make sense?
I have a
So what we
question.
do is, yeah, sure.
Um. So what is collision means?
So when the robot is going
Mm-hmm.
forward,
Mm-hmm.
let's say there is an obstacle. When it hits the obstacle, that's a collision.
Oh, okay. They
So
avoid
that
the
is why they said there are obstacles, and then if delivered right hits those obstacles, then there is a negative.
when they hit the
Usually,
wall, it will be collision, right?
yes.
Okay,
And why
got.
is that a problem? Because if the robot is let's say running on a battery, it will consume a lot of battery. It needs to
Oh.
when it hits it, it has to come back and take a different path and all that. If it tries to avoid it, then it
Mm.
conserves battery. So that's like kind of a thing to understand why we have negative point.
Mm. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So in the input we got 5 and 2. How do we calculate the score manually? First thing you need to do is to understand the inputs and try to do it manually, right?
Mm.
So for every 5 packages that are delivered,
Mm.
score that we get is 5 into 50 point, right?
Yeah.
So that is 250 points. This is what we gain.
Yeah.
And there are two collisions, which means we have 2 into 10.
Mm.
You get, basically it's a negative 10. I'm going to make it negative 10 because you're going to lose the point. So negative 20 is what we get. So what is the total score so far? So can you tell me what's the score so far?
20, 230.
So it's 250 and we get a negative 20 here.
Mm.
Basically I need to add it, but it's a negative, so thing it will become negative. So total points you get, this is 230. Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
And the third rule here, it says you get a bonus point. So we need to calculate that as well. And if you see here, I am working on something called a Jupyter notebook here. That because it helps me to write code interactively. So for example, so if I say now packages delivered, which is my variable, name of a variable. If I
Mm-hmm.
say input, this is how you accept input from a user, right? If I do this and
Mm.
then I write another here, if you do something like print, and I say packages delivered. If I do this, right?
Mm.
Let me show you one more thing here. Something called a type. I'll explain to you what all this. So this is how you accept the input, right?
Mm.
So get the input. Let's just focus on this one now.
Yeah.
So if I run this, you see that there's a small window that popped up at the top. It's
Mm.
expecting me to enter an input. So if I enter 5, which is one of the inputs that we need to accept, right?
Mm.
And press enter, see this cell got executed. Now I go to the next one and I try to execute this. You see it printed something here, right?
Mm.
And I try to execute the next one. It printed that 5. So here just printed what it got.
Mm.
The interesting part is if you see it is saying it's a str. So str means it's a string,
Mm.
but the input says it needs to be an integer. Integer means it's a number, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that I need to do next is to convert this string into an integer. So let me try to do that. So if I say integer of this input, so I'm just making a method call. So this is called a method call, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm making another method call within that and trying to convert that into integer. Okay.
Mm.
Now if I execute this, it's going to again pop up the window, entering 5 again. Now you see it was class str earlier. Now when I execute this, now it says class int, which means it
Mm.
became an integer, right?
Mm.
Then I execute this. 5 is 5 because whether you print 5 as a string or 5 an integer, there's no difference. So do you see the difference between what's a string and why do we need to convert that into an integer, right? So
What does string means?
the string basically means something like this. So if I say str equal to hello, so this is basically a string,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So it's basically a set of characters that you get. So I can also write hello 123 or something like that. So it's basically a combination of characters. Could be digits, it could be characters or whatever, and all of that becomes string. For example, I can have a string called name.
Mm.
I say first name, and I say, what is your first name? I'll say first name is Ivy, right? And I
Mm.
say my last name is like this, right? So these are called strings.
Mm.
And if I do something like this, so A is equal to 10. Now A is a variable,
Mm-hmm.
which is an integer or a number, right? I can also have negative integers. So if I say B equal to -10,
Mm.
right? These
Mm.
are all integers. So basically, this is how I work with numbers.
Mm.
Fine.
对呀。
And I can do something like print first name and I say last name. So this will print the first name and the last name.
This is
So let me,
Python, right? This is not Java.
this is all Python. Yeah.
Oh, Python. Mm.
Maybe I'll push this into a different cell. So I can show you all this here. Now, if I say print
Mm-hmm.
A plus B,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
So you can actually see that executing now. So it says IV ma, it printed here, first name,
Uh-huh.
comma, last name. So it printed
Uh-huh.
IV ma. And
Uh-huh.
then A plus B is 0 because 10 and -10 when they get added becomes 0. And that's what
Ah,
it printed here.
got it.
Does it make sense? This is all these are called variables. Why are they called variables? Because you can actually change the value for A to 100, right?
Oh, the maximum is 100.
No, I can put whatever number I want because Python supports really large numbers.
Oh.
So now you can see I changed A, but I didn't change B, right?
Mm. Mm.
In this line, I changed only A. So if you see the output now, we printed two output. Sorry, totally three output. There's no change to this. Name,
Oh.
last name remained the same. We printed IVMA.
Mm.
Then it says 10 plus -10,
Mm.
printed 0. Then A equal to 100. Then it printed A plus B. This 100 and -10 when they get added it becomes 90.
Mm. Got
So
it.
I'm showing you how to use variables and what are
Mm.
the types of variables. At least we see two types here, string and integers,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And which is why I made the change to, I showed you how if I just take the input and accept it, it's
Mm.
stored as a string. But the problem says is input specification is it needs to be a non-negative integer. So which is why I converted that into an integer here. Okay, now if I have to convert this into an integer, what I need to do is to do whatever I have done here.
Integer.
So
Oh.
put the integer and then do this, then it becomes a string. Sorry, an integer.
Mm.
Does it make sense now?
Yeah.
So with this, I have done two inputs that are expected from me. So 5 and 2 will get accepted here. So let me just rename this to num packages. So very important for you to have a convention of writing the variables.
Mm.
Never write something like this is some ASDF equal to something, right?
Mm.
Never write code like this because you're not writing code for the just for the competition or the judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is for others. It could be you from 2 months from now. So you could read this code again from 2 months and you won't know what is this ASDF. So never name your variables like this.
Oh, so you mean the name should be clear.
Yes. So now if I read this num package is delivered is very clear. Num
Mm.
collisions is very clear. Right? It makes
Mm.
total sense. Okay.
Oh.
Now let's try to compute the score, right? What is the score? Let's write score. How do I do the score? I take the num packages delivered and I multiply it with what number? I'm
Mm.
highlighting it here.
50.
50,
Yeah.
right? It's simple.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
take that and I say multiply that with 50
Mm.
and I add that with number of collisions. Multiply with
So
what number?
the one that you put it on the top, like 10, 11, or 10 minus 10, those are all input, right? How can I know which input it take? Because you
I'll
have,
show you that. I'll just run this code and show it to you.
okay.
Okay, let's just run these two things.
Mm.
If I run this, so it's asking me for the inputs. I'm going to put in 5,
Mm.
right? So that is my this cell. Now
Yeah.
I'm going to run the next one. I'm going to put 2. So if I just add a line of code here and say, if I say print some collisions and I try to run this, it says 2. And add a line of code here and I say print some packages delivered. And I run this, it says 5.
Wait, I didn't get the logic here. Let me see.
So your question was, how do I know which input was what?
Yeah.
So I showed you that. So this was the first input we got, which was 5. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
printing it, it's showing me 5. Then I got num collisions as the input, which was 2. When I printed, it shows 2.
So
So
number package delivered, because I put it above is 5, so that it prints as 5, right?
that is the first input that you accepted. So first input is number of packages delivered.
Yeah. How can it show 5, not other numbers?
Because that is what I entered. I don't know if you I think you missed it. Let me show you that again.
Oh.
This is my second input. The number of collisions. Okay. Let me show that again.
Mm.
So if I run this line, this cell or this line
Mm.
of code now,
Mm.
if I run this, you see a small box that popped up here
Yeah.
on the top.
Mm.
It says press enter to confirm your input or escape to cancel. So I
Mm.
put 5 here. Why am I putting 5? That's because that is my first input here on the right. If you see 5 was the first input.
Oh, you
So
put
I'm
it
going to use the
there.
same input. I put 5. Then when I execute it, it shows 5 here because that is the input that you just accepted.
Wait, where do you
Now,
put the 5? Can you show me again? The Where do you
when I
put the
run this,
Mhm.
you saw the small thing that popped up here.
Oh, okay, got it.
So I enter 5 here
Oh,
and then I say run this here again. Let me show that again. If you see there's no box here. There's just a
oh,
search here. I'm going to run
oh,
this. Now I'm going to put 10. If I put 10 and I run this, it's showing 10 here.
oh,
And I'm printing
got
that
it.
here.
Yeah, got it.
So I'm going to run this again and put 5 because that's what the input is. First input is 5. So we came back to 5. Now
Mm,
I'm doing the second. There's no box up here. So I'm going to run this. I run it and I put 2.
mm-hmm.
And I got that here and I print it here. It shows 2.
Oh, I see. Got it.
So this is your first input that you accepted. Got the second input, right?
Mm, mm, yeah.
Now you compute the score for these two things, right?
Mm-hmm,
So if I run this,
mm-hmm.
not going to print anything because I need to print it here. So print score. If I print the score now, I got 230.
Mm,
So if you see up top,
mm,
we got the 230 here,
mm,
right?
mm.
Now we have to calculate the bonus. We know what is the bonus, how to calculate it. If number of packages delivered is greater than the number of collisions, we have to add 500.
Oh,
And how
yeah.
do we do that? In Python, we remove this. So there is something called an if condition. If we say if number of packages delivered is greater than number of collisions, and
Mm.
this is how I write it, then I have to say score is equal to score plus how many points should I add? Bonus is 500.
500,
Okay,
yeah. Mm,
that's it, right?
mm-hmm, yeah.
So now if I run this and I add another cell and I just say print score, and I run this. It says 730 because there is a bonus because num packages is 5
Oh,
and collisions is 2. So you will get the bonus and you got 730
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that is the score.
Oh, I see.
So what we need to do now is this is what is your output, final output that you need to give for the problem,
Mm,
right? So now we've done all of this interactively. Let me show you how to write that in one single file so that you can submit it to the judge, submit in DMOJ. Okay.
okay.
How do we do that? So I go to this trials. What all have we done? We have to first accept the first input.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take that, copy it from there, put it in here. That is my first input.
Mm,
Then I go to the second input. I don't need to print this. I was just showing you all this print because
mm.
I want you to understand that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I don't need to actually write that in my final code. So I
Mm,
accepted the first input. I got the second input. Now I need to write the score.
mm,
So I calculate the score, put the score here. And then what we do is we calculate the bonus.
mm,
There a bonus. If so, add 500 points. Sorry, right?
mm,
We take this, calculate the bonus,
mm.
and then all we have to do is to just print the output. That is the code, right?
Oh,
Why are we printing only once? Because that's what the judge is saying or the problem is asking us to do. You have to just output will consist of a single integer representing the final score. So that is what this is. We are
mm.
just printing it only once.
Got it, got it, got it. Yeah.
Now comes the interesting part. Once I have done this, I can also test this.
Is this another tab I need to open?
Let's see. Yeah, so it came here. 5. Oh, I closed it. Sorry. We'll have to edit this part. Okay.
Mm,
I ran this. My first input, my pop-up came in, right?
mm.
I'm entering the first input is 5. Then another pop-up came up. I'm putting 2. You see the score is 730, which is correct. That is what we expect. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to run this again for my second input, 0 and 10. And this first pop-up came up. So I put a 0. Then I put a 10.
Mm,
You see the score is negative 100.
mm.
And that is what is expected here.
Oh, yeah.
So now I'm kind of saying, okay, I'm confident. So I'll try to submit this code now. We copy this code here,
Mm-hmm.
come to submitting the code here.
Mm-hmm.
So I paste the code that we wrote and make sure that I selected Python 3.
What
And
is
you can
Python 3 means? 1, 2, 3.
so
A different
so
level?
Python has got multiple versions. So
Uh-huh.
Python 2 is the last version. Python
Oh,
3 is the current version.
oh, okay.
So I just select Python 3. You say click on submit.
Mm,
Then the judge is actually going to run the code against all of these different test cases. So you know
mm,
the first two test cases was already listed here, which was 5, 2 and 0 and 10.
yeah.
But you should also note that there are other test cases which are not listed in the
Mm,
problem. So they
mm,
will also be executed. And if you get everything right, you will get something called AC, which is accepted.
mm,
So you now have successfully implemented or solved the J1 problem. Yes.
mm. Okay.
Congratulations. Do you
Nice.
think any questions?
Nope. I think I got it, the logic behind this problems.
Okay. And the fun part is if you look at J5, Well, let's look at J4,
Mm-hmm.
which is like basically somebody wants to figure out how to tape all these tiles, right? So you should figure
Oh,
out what is the length of this tape. So you can compute all this.
so you mean the
So
output is this graph, right?
yeah, so you can actually see how to represent this problem,
Mm-hmm.
how to calculate all of these outputs, and you can
Oh,
imagine the amount of joy that you get solving these problems, right? And
interesting.
then you can actually get amazing benefits because of all this.
What
So
benefits?
I told you that was already. So
Uh-huh.
some things are like you're able to combine multiple skills together. You can take mathematics, you can take geometry or arithmetic, geometry, or you can look at Google Maps. How to start from point A to go to point B? What is the best route available?
So
You can
those
calculate that.
Google Map are coded by Python?
Could be coded in Python, could be coded in Java. It depends on the efficiency that you need. Right? Usually,
Oh,
when you need a lot of efficiency, people don't use Python.
interesting.
But learning the outcome of this whole thing is not just learning Python. You've learned something called data success and algorithm. Right?
Hmm.
So what did we do here? We wrote a small algorithm here. Right? So this is how
Hmm.
you learn to do it. In Java, there's a different way to accept the input. But this line of code is going to be the same, whether you write it in Java or Python.
Hmm.
This is going to be the same, except that you will not have a colon in Java. It will be like if, and you put the syntax is going to be a little different. But essentially, I can change this into Java code pretty easily, right?
Hmm.
So what are we learning here? Learning to solve problem, and based on that, you can learn a new language pretty easily.
Hmm. New language, you mean this one is similar to Java? I think Java have longer language structure, right?
So when I interviewed with Amazon,
Mm.
I wrote the code in C++. But
Mm.
when I joined Amazon, I wrote code in, you know, I wrote code in Java. Then I wrote code in Python. I wrote code in Ruby.
Oh,
Then I wrote code in Golang.
so they are all need to be learned.
Depends. So everything is dependent on what is the type of problem that you're solving. Could be
Oh,
anything.
okay, okay.
It depends
Oh,
on
why
specific.
are the do you know why are the students are learning Java, Python as a beginner? Why they don't just jump into Ruby or Golang?
So Java specifically because it's very widely used, right?
Um,
And AP Computer Science wants Java. That's why they learn Java.
mm,
And Python because it's pretty easy to learn.
mm-hmm.
And you don't have something like, okay, I have to write, no, say public static void main, say write all of this.
Yeah, those are hard to
I have to
understand.
write this. Then I have to say void main. Then I say scanner.
Mm,
Then I say, okay, now in packages delivered is
mm,
equal to sc.nextInt. That's how I accept it. In I say num collisions. Then I basically do the same thing. No big deal. I do the same code.
oh, oh
Right?
yeah. This is only
And I
one
write the same
line.
code. It's the
Okay,
same
okay.
code here. Only thing is I have to just change this into something like this.
Yes.
Or I
This,
can also do this.
mm,
And I have to say put a semicolon everywhere. Right?
yeah.
And then all for the output, I just say system.out.println score. This is the same code that I'm now writing in Java.
I see. Yeah.
Some import statements.
Import Java scanner.
So I need to import the libraries, where in this case, I didn't need to import anything. Input was like straightforward. And then output also is straightforward.
Yeah, it is. But
And something else.
If I have multiple output, but the score is all the same, I think it's repetitive. Should I name it differently?
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. Scores,
Give me an example.
scores, they all I mean, if I have 3 output, so should I put 3 if equation and 3 scores, and then score 0, score 1, score 2, score 3, and then to put.
So for example, if you need 3 output, let's say you have 3 students and we need to print their grade in math, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Which means I'll have to do it twice because there are 3 students and I accept 3 inputs. So accept 3 inputs, 1 per student. And then I have some rule, let's say some bonus, give some extra points if they got above 90 or above 80 or something like that, right? And then you print thrice. But you can also do something like you can write a function and invoke the function, 3 different scores, and it will just give you one output of what is the total score. So you can do something like def calculate score, and let's say it takes input the current score. I do something like this, and I say if score is greater than 90, let's say score equal to score plus 5. That is the bonus that they get. Something called else if or elif. If the score is greater than 80, then they get a bonus, but they get lesser bonus, let's say plus 3. Otherwise, they just get a score. Yes, they get 2 points extra. And now what you do is you just say return score. Then what you do is you just say student 1 final score is equal to calculate final score, and view the input as, let's say 91 was this person's. And I can just the rest and just change this to student 2 and student 3. And let's say this person got 80, 82, something like that. This person got, say, 75. And then what I have to do is just say print 1 final score. This, that's it. So you don't need to write repetitive code. Anything that you need to repetitively do, put it in a function.
Got it.
And then you call it. It will just do the same work, give it to you in one output. And then you have to just write the output.
Sure.
Thank you for joining today's class.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the class soon.